Very good. All right. I will call our January meeting to order of the Richland County Executive Finance Standing Committee. Roll call, Mr. Kalish, please.
Steve, if you're online, you're unmuted.
Here, can you hear me?
Yes. Schoonover? Here. Kramer?
Here.
Manny?
Here.
Turk?
Here.
Frank? Here. Severson? Present. Williamson?
Here.
Louis? Here. You have a phone.
Okay, thank you. I assume we're under our open meeting law compliance.
Properly noticed.
All right, agenda approval, 16-point agenda. I'm looking for approval. Supervisor Manning, seconded by Supervisor Schoonover. All those in favor of approving the agenda as posted signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Minutes from our December 15th meeting are in the packet. Did anybody see anything that needs to be corrected, changed? Hearing nothing from anybody, we will stand them as approved by myself as presented in the packet. Item 6, public comment. Public comment from anyone within there or online. I had no forms turned in. All right. We're going to move on to item 7, reports. The first thing I want to do is introduce Tim Brohold. He's from the Russell Law Office. Our new corporate counsel is Russell Law Office. Tim, you want to give us a brief history? Yourself.
Of myself, been with Russell Law going on, this is my second year with them. Before that, I've been practicing for 16 years, 17 years, something like that. Lose track after a while. Specialized in real estate, law, zoning, and municipal law. Represented multiple counties and municipalities throughout the state. Grew up in a small town, Alma. It's north of La Crosse, right on the Mississippi River. Very similar to this type of county. So hopefully some of my past knowledge can help you guys.
Thank you. All right, first report, 7A, Veteran Service Officer Quarterly Report.
For those that don't know me, my name is Karen Knock. I'm the Veteran Service Officer for Richland County. So the forms that were filled out, that were submitted in your packets, those are just the annual numbers that we have acquired for 2025. I have a couple of additional things to add. We started tracking how many new veterans are moving into the area. And for the year 2025, we had 18 new veterans that came to Richland County. If you remember at the last meeting, I talked about how the VA's annual report for GDX, the government distributed expenses, had been delayed because they were reformatting. And they finally did come out with those numbers, and it's $6.5 million that our Richland County residents receive from the VA for cash pocket, money in their pockets. The grant that I apply for every year from the state of Wisconsin has been delayed. They are trying to set up direct deposit for all the counties, and several counties have not turned their direct deposit forms in yet. So it looks like it's going to be pushed out until the end of January before we actually receive the grant. And then I also received a report from the Department of Revenue for the state of Wisconsin. We currently have 62 veterans in the county that are receiving the property tax credit, where that's basically a reimbursement. They pay their taxes and then the state reimburses them. And the amount is $203,669 that our residents are receiving back here. And does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
I have a comment. I had a brother that served in the military that passed away, and Karen was fantastic help me get through that period. Got a brass monument for him, helped with the burial fund, and I thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
I have a quick question. You showed that you had 39 disability compensation. What is the turnaround now for those?
It's running, so if it's a presumptive for Agent Orange, it's very quick. They're less than 30 days sometimes. If it's not a presumptive and it's an injury that they have to confirm and verify, it's anywhere up to 9 months.
Further questions for Karen? Anybody online for Karen? Questions in regards to the Veterans Affairs Office report? Hearing none, thank you, Karen. Keep up the good work. We'll move on to item B, MIS Department update.
So there is a report in the packet. I'm not sure if Jason is online or not, but I have asked them to provide monthly updates on what they are doing.
Questions, anyone, in regards to the MIS report online?
Thank you for it. I think it's good. I think it's
Yeah.
good.
I know one thing we do, someday I'd like to ask Case, or we can bring it up, but, at Hartong's, they hire a company to come in and try and hack in. And I assume we work with something like that? So, just to see where we're vulnerable. So,
Nephew does that for a career.
legally or? All right, if we have no questions on the MIS stuff, let's go to item C, radio tower update. Mr. Mike Day is here.
Thank you, Mike Day, consultant for the county on the radio project. Had an opportunity this week, yesterday and today, actually, spend some time visiting the sites, and things are looking pretty good. Most of them are even just a matter of sweeping up the floors and such. So we've got the radio. Well, before I get to that, I guess as far as civil stuff goes, we really have everything wrapped up there, except we do have the last site needing a little bit of restoration work. So mostly stuff that had to stop when winter came, but putting a little bit of grading and then putting down some seed barrier or seed growth mat and such. So that's it. And then last week, we've had the opportunity with the good weather to finish all the antenna and line work. So that's completed at all the sites now. And so with those two things done, we're really wrap things up there by having the civil engineering firm do an inspection work at all the sites. So that'll be coming up here in the next few weeks. But onto the radio project itself, we've got radio technicians that have got all the equipment online and are actually using one of the new sites. Today they were doing some voice testing, so are seeing how that's functioning and kind of working out the last few bugs and optimizing everything. And we hope could sit down with the vendor tomorrow and really hash out our implementation plan. So that'll look like, assuming everything finishes up this week and looks good, that will look like doing some what we call DAQ testing or building tests. Hopefully next week, midweek, late week. We basically picked out some sites around the county, and we go out and we do some "can you hear me now" kind of testing, and making sure that coverage level works inside of the buildings as it was designed. And so that we'll be relying pretty heavily on that to start using the system, because we will do a little bit of drive testing. The vendor has identified the desire to do some preliminary drive testing, but drive testing, which uses some setups inside of a vehicle and basically drives the whole county. That we really like to have done in full foliage, which is like August timeframe. So we're going to just do some preliminary testing, rely on the DAQ testing, and if everything looks good, We hope the following week, we would move the sheriff's department onto one of the new channels. So we gotta keep the old channel and, the new channel's kind of up, or the old channel there in case something were to happen. But we do what we call the 30-day burn process. So the sheriff's department's going to be the agency for that, and they'll begin to use the new channel and operate on it. And all goes well, we'll probably speed up that process. A lot of times you can take and just have that one agency on the system for 30 days. But given the fact that we've kind of waited to get this system online and work through a lot of issues, we want to kind of speed that up as much as possible. But if things look good there, a week or two into that, we hope to move the paging channel over. And so that'll be the next step after the sheriff's department is comfortable. And then from there, the final piece, a few other little pieces in there. I mean, we'll be getting all the law enforcement, but the final big piece is getting the fire agencies and the emergency medical services migrated over. So if we do get things all look good and we are able to keep things moving even while we're underneath that 30-day burn, we might have all the agencies on board and using the new system by about the end of February. So, and if the having the sheriff's department start that 30-day burn at the end of January, when that concludes, that's kind of when your warranty starts. So that kind of is the point where the radio vendor's handing the system over to you. There might be a few little things, some wrap up. Obviously, if we find anything in the punch list process, they'll be correcting that. But for the most part, after that, we're just doing documentation and finishing things up. So all goes well. Probably in March, we're going to have that work done, and then our final piece is probably delaying and waiting until August to run that drive test. Just it's a last verification piece. We'll have done a lot of other tests in between there. Like I said, we really need the confidence to move forward, and if we see that, that's kind of how things will unfold. So,
Questions for Mr. Day? Anyone? I just have one. Will it be fall before we'll really find out what our coverage in the county will be once we're fully?
Yeah. So what you have with these systems, it's a multi-site system. So there's two things we look at. We look at RSSI, receive signal strength. So, can you actually hear the towers out there? And that does change with foliage. When more foliage you get, more corn you get growing, it impacts that signal. The other thing that we look at is called TDI. So these transmitter sites are all transmitting on the same frequencies. And so sometimes they interfere with each other. And we realize that the engineering process identifies where that might happen. But yeah, it really is the final test to say, have we achieved the design goals? We'll know long ahead of that if it's way off of the design goals. So yeah, there might be some tweaking. There's some changes you can make if you see the TDI in the wrong spots or something like that to kind of help the process. So.
Thank you. Mr. Frank?
Are they gonna be doing fault testing, taking a tower offline to make sure the other ones are picking up, or what kind of fault testing? Is that part of the process, part of the testing?
Yeah, that's more, we'll do some of that testing. Obviously, I'll do some of that testing myself, but yeah, the system is again designed with a microwave that goes in both directions. A little bit of fiber in there too. So we definitely will unhook one site or one side of the microwave and make sure it's literally a test you can do during a conversation on a radio. And you might hear half of a word drop out, but that's all you should hear, even with the loss of the path. So that kind of testing we'll definitely be doing and making sure all the redundant pieces of the system are operating.
Want to miss that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anybody else, anything? All right, thanks,
All
Mike.
goes well, we should be hearing some good news here.
All right, moving on to 7D, ambulance service updates.
Okay, so the first thing is all the municipalities have signed their contracts. I've signed all of them and returned all of them at the end of last week, so we are all set to go for 2026. We did have that meeting with the municipalities back in December. Our next meeting with them is on the 21st. There was a request of the municipalities to have a third-party vendor come in and present. So I did reach out to Gunderson Ambulance. They are coming to that meeting to present so that the municipalities can have an understanding of what a third-party vendor looks like and how they would operate. The city suggested at that meeting to have other vendors come in. So I did get some names of other agencies from Ashley, from the city, and I have started to reach out to them. So we will have other vendors come in and just give really an overview of what it would look like if they were in our community. And then later on, we'll have a discussion about the study.
Questions in regards to what we've heard so far? Okay, thank you. Moving on to 7E, disposal of septic records, public records, 7E.
All right, so I can talk on that. That's right. Ashley and I will actually probably share this one, the county treasurer and I. So what you have in your packet is you have 2 agenda item covers for this. You have one that's prepared by the county treasurer, one that's also prepared by me as the county clerk. In addition to what we have in there, I also have some information that I received from the Wisconsin Historical Society in regards to records that they have interest in us transferring them to if you're going to dispose them to make room and that sort of thing. So in your packet, I've given you a bunch of items, but what I want to focus on for the county clerk portion anyway is back in November of 2024, the historical Andrew was here from the Historical Society and did an appraisal of the records that we have. Richland County has a lot of paper, I'll just say that, lots of paper, and we have no room to store much more paper. So what I would like to do, and I will let Ashley comment on the treasurer's, what her plan is, but what I would like to do is transfer some of these records to the Historical Society, those indicated on this list here that they have interest for receiving and transfer. What that means then is that the county transfers those records to the depository, which is in Platteville, and they become records of the Historical Society. We can access them if we need to, but we simply don't have room to house everything county related from 1850 to the present. So nonetheless, Andrew was here back in November of 2024. We prepare these items of this list of items they may have interest for. He is scheduled to come back here on the 27th or 28th of 27th of January to take whatever records they have an interest in keeping. So that's why we're here tonight, is to, as a report, let you know that we will be transferring at least my records for county clerk stuff. I will look at transferring the items that the Historical Society has had interest in keeping. The one thing that's not on here are election records. We have election records for decades upon decades in both my vaults, and again, I have no room to keep that stuff. So my intent when the Historical Society comes here next week is to transfer any items that they would like to keep and then dispose of other items as our retention schedule allows, which those of you may remember, we did adopt that statewide records retention schedule back in March of 2023. So this is my report to you to say this is what my intention is to do with these records. If you would not like me to do that, then here's your opportunity to tell me. The resolution that we did pass that approved the record retention schedule noted that before we're either transferring records or disposing of them, we need to give the then Rules and Strategic Planning Committee notice on what we're doing. So because that committee doesn't exist anymore, that's why it's here to Executive and Finance. And anyone have any questions for me. I will tell you that there are a lot more records that I'm assuming we're either going to be able to purge because we stored lots of information, or we will send it to the Historical Society. Again, following the record retention schedule that you all adopted in March of 2023. That's all I have from the county clerk's perspective, county treasurer.
Yeah, so you can dispose of the records two different ways. We have an ordinance with the records retention that we have, and we can also transfer them to Wisconsin Historical Society. So we have two different options here, which we'll both entertain, and that's why we're notifying you accordingly. So anything that we dispose of, whether we dispose it via shredding or whether we dispose of it via the transfer to the Wisconsin Historical Society, all those records actually don't need to be held and can be purged per our retention schedule that you guys had approved and adopted. So none of this information needs to be held within the county. It's just really honestly just taking up space, which is why Derek and I want to be able to utilize the retention schedule and the transfer to the Wisconsin Historical Society accordingly to make space. For mine is actually really nice. I just have tax rolls. I only have 3 years of tax rolls for the Wisconsin Historical Society. That's the only thing that they want from me, my department at present. But then I have paper records of receipts, bank statements, and canceled checks, and everything you could possibly imagine that I don't necessarily need. I intend to scan it in because that's just me and then CD. However, we don't necessarily need to keep all those records for the we've done audits, and we don't need to keep certain things after audits and everything. So all of this stuff that we're presenting to you is far overdue for purging and disposal.
And the items, if there's items transferred to the Historical Society, we'll have a list of those items. And as we're destroying stuff that, that we can for our record retention schedule, we're keeping track of, that inventory as well. And some of the stuff we shouldn't, in my opinion, be storing. Like we're probably one of a few counties that have our original 1850 meeting minutes in the vault. And I'm sorry, but our vault is not a state-of-the-art vault to store documents like that I do believe should be preserved in a facility that can properly store them. So some of these documents should be stored somewhere else. And then there's the spatial constraint that we just don't have the room. And then third of all, we are looking to establish a records management system. So part of this initial purge, and that we've kind of been doing this over the years. I know when I stepped into my office, I cleaned out a lot of stuff as well. So part of this is really to kind of gear up towards establishing that countywide record management system that I know we've talked about several different times in several different meetings. So this is my notice and the county treasurer's notice of records that we're going to transfer to the Historical Society or dispose of according to our record retention schedule. So should any of you have any questions, please let us know. So we have your opinion, but that's the report that I have today.
Questions for either the clerk or the treasurer? One question is all, Derek. We deliver, they pick up.
They will be picking up. They will bring a van. Andrew will be here the 27th with a van. He will go through the list of items you saw there. If they take them, they do. If they don't, they don't. But they provide all that. Again, the records are then permanently transferred to the Historical Society, and we can view them and access them but they will not be in our possession.
Thank you. Thank you both. Hearing nothing, let's move on to item 7F, Register of Deeds Quarterly Report.
Good evening. I'm Deb McCoy, for those of you that don't know me, the Register of Deeds. And 2025 was my first year in office. So starting out in January of last year, the first few weeks of my newly elected position were very difficult. And Trish knows about the situation and was very helpful. Those hurdles that we had to jump over were put up by the previous administrator and the county attorney, and they were not necessary at all, and they held up business in our office. But we did get past that, and I was finally able to hire a qualified deputy. And after that, we hit the ground running. We removed counter barriers so that we were more accessible to the public and other employees. And I feel that's one of our biggest responsibilities, to be accessible to the public so that we can help them figure out what processes need to happen. I joined the Wisconsin Register of Deeds Association and got to know the other registers across the state and partnered with them for training and legislation and for standard of practices. We painted our office and recovered the counter and got better furniture from the UW campus. Thank you for that. That was very helpful. It made our space a lot brighter, more appealing, and very efficient to wait on people. We opened up a new escrow account at People's Community Bank and made it an interest-bearing account. So the county actually benefits from the money that's being held there weekly. So for 3/4 of the year, we added an additional $380 in interest income to help offset our other expenses. And we balance that escrow account daily, and I don't believe that was happening previously. So we have every penny accounted for every day. We increased the integrity of the legal description requirements so we could improve our tract index. This saves the property lister time because we're catching many of the problems before they're actually recorded. We are enforcing the standards for accuracy and the legal requirements of the documents according to state statutes. We have a lot of young professionals in our county and outside our county that are submitting documents that have a lot of errors. So we're working on that and we're helping them figure out the processes, and we're making some good progress now. We added more fields for indexing to get better information out there for the title companies. We have made the process for the local funeral homes to get their death certificates speedier. And I increased the deputy's duties and responsibilities to include most of my duties. And that was done in the case that I might be incapacitated and to increase redundancy in our office so that we're always prepared no matter what happens. We added fees for mailing documents to cover our costs of mailing and to help with an additional revenue stream. We added a new vital records online service, which also adds a new revenue stream. We recruited 3 new subscribers to our online searching, and that increased our revenue by $500 a month as well. We partnered with the zoning and conservation employees on title and ownership and legal description questions and training. There was a lot of inexperienced people, so we're helping out, help them learn what they need to know about the legal descriptions in the documents, which has been great. So they got to know us and we got to know them. We added a public terminal to our front counter to make it more accessible and easier for people to do searching and easier for us to assist them while we can still keep track of what's going on in the vault for security. We added additional new account numbers so that we can better track our revenue and expenses. And we implemented accounting reporting capabilities that were previously unused in our Fiddler software so that we could prepare our state reporting forms and have the reporting capabilities are much quicker and much more accurate. So we don't keep track on paper anymore. We added credit card services, which was a big deal. We've had a lot of use of that, so that also added a revenue stream because we charge for that service. We completed indexing and reviewing of all of the certified survey map plats to make sure they were correctly indexed. And we're in the process of indexing and reviewing the subdivision plats at this time. That's a bigger project because there's more of those and they're more complex. And we are staying open during the lunch hours so that we can provide better service to the community. We have a lot of traffic during the lunch hour. We promoted the property fraud alert service, which the county board graciously offered to our property owners. We also added the notary fraud alert service. And it's kind of the same thing as the property fraud alert, but it's for notaries. The notaries can sign up with their commission information, and then they can get a report every week or a month, however they want it, to show all the documents that are recorded with their notaries. And so that's another step to help fight fraud. I became the district chairman for District 1 for the Register of Deeds Association, which is the whole southwestern portion of the state. And we hosted several district meetings and helped plan the fall conference at Ho-Chunk for the association. And I also am participating in the Land Information Council and bringing my 20 years of experience in the title industry and land records and real estate purchases to that committee.
My deputy Trish Shell has been a wonderful asset to the office. She stepped up to become educated in the processes and is wonderful with all the diverse people we serve. And I'm very pleased with her progress and abilities. And if you don't believe me, you can ask any of the funeral directors. They just love her. They come in and she's already read their minds what they want, has it ready, hands it to them, and they're just as happy as they can possibly. And I also, in closing, would like to thank Trish. She's done a great job for us. She's made it much easier for us to learn what we need to learn and helped with some issues. She's not afraid to ask questions, and she's really helped us grow in our office and been instrumental in improving the atmosphere here. So thank you for hiring her. We're very appreciative. Questions?
Anybody with questions? Go ahead.
I want to thank you so much for helping me as a property owner and homeowner to get on that list for that fraud.
You're welcome.
Yes, what a relief.
Yeah, we're getting more subscribers, and I'm hoping that we can maybe go to the radio station and do a morning show or something to talk about that and promote it a little bit more.
That would be wonderful.
The more people know about it, the more protected we all are.
Any other questions?
I promise my next report won't be that long. It's a whole year's work.
Thank you, Deb. Keep up the good work. Mr. Kalish, do you have a quarterly report as well?
I do with the packet, so I have all the things that happened in 15 does, but nonetheless, I wanted to tell you what our goals are, so you have an office is working on. Those things we're going to be working on is records management, software, research, and implementation. As I just alluded to, we have lots of records that need to be organized in a much more efficient, easier to access manner. We'll continue the digitization effort of all records within the county clerk's office. We're going to purge any applicable files that have passed the retention schedule to purge. Continue to streamline office operations. For those of you that have been around for a little while, you probably realize the office functions a little differently than it did before, but progress and we're moving forward. We're going to update our standard operations procedure role manual for the clerk's office. So if Derek gets hit by a bus, there's a manual that will outline processes that have to continue for continuity of operations. I'm really involved with working with the local municipalities, especially since election season. I'm programming for April already, and it's only January. So I will be holding at least 3 review sessions with those municipalities. Those I typically do after hours, and I offer that to all municipalities for me to sit with the poll workers, with the clerk, just go over procedures, so we're all aware of what we need to do. I have one scheduled actually for a municipality next week. And then assist the municipal clerks as needed with WISCO data entry duties. So municipalities effective 1/1 of 2026 are responsible to enter their own election data into WISCO. This is something that's been about a 3-year thing coming. The county used to do this. We no longer have the staff to sustain those operations. So municipalities will be doing this themselves, but I will be triple checking everything they do because they still have the power to see that. And I will make sure that they are well on their way to everything the way they should. They'll hear from me if they don't. Fair warning, any municipalities listening. Elections, so as you know, elections are underway. It'll be a busy election season this year, so those will go all the way through November. We're going to start using a new agenda management software. That's Catalyst. The treasurer's office uses this for some of their activities, but we will be using it for agenda management software. We've already started doing those agendas actually for 2026. Any new agenda has been done on the new system and the old system. Before we completely switch over, I want to make sure that nothing's left behind and everything's functioning as it should. So we'll continue to use both. My hope is that the new agendas make accessing information a lot easier. There'll be less clicking, hopefully. We're just still working out some of the formatting bugs, but at this point, it looks better. I feel like it looks better. As I said, disposal of records, digitization of records, and the records management software. So that's kind of where we hit the ground running. Those are my goals for 2026. Anyone have any questions for me? If none, you all know where to find me, and you're welcome to call me when you need to. I'll leave with that.
Thank you. What are you gonna do on day 2?
There's another list, but I didn't put that one.
All right, Ashley, County Treasurer's quarterly report.
Oh, my
My name is Ashley Mott. I'm the county treasurer for Richland County. I am just getting over a cold, so please bear with me if I have to take some water. I do have a cough drop in. So my voice is kind of hoarse right now, so bear with me through this. So this is the first time I've done a quarterly report, probably for the treasurer's office. I'm not really sure. So this is probably longer than, going forward, it probably will be. So, in 2025, what I really wanted to focus on was focus on modernization. Because previously there was an absence of formal documentation. There wasn't any procedures, wasn't any manuals. None of that was written down. It was all paper-based, it was outdated. And I really wanted to be able to utilize the technology that we have on hand to be able to kind of bring ourselves up into the 21st century and to be able to utilize those tools and eliminate paper. Nobody really likes paper, so that's kind of what I was aiming for, and bring the cost of printing down. Historical documents were reviewed, they were scanned, and they were digitally archived, freeing up additional space and reducing costs. My commitment is to be able to make sure that while we're moving forward, we're actually keeping up with the times, and reducing costs. Work smarter, not harder, essentially. Which was really nice to kind of see at the end of the 2025 budget, because it reflected in my budget a significant decrease in printing and copy expenses, I believe by like $1,000, which was absolutely amazing. And then, also in 2025, I did 3 ordinances that were departments, for all the departments here in the county, that I felt that we really needed and would benefit the departments within the county. I also prioritized public access, so I updated the website to reflect that. I added a change of address form, so if you need to change your address, there is a form online that is actually automatically submitted to us, which is extremely handy. There's also a frequently asked questions and section on there as well, and also improvements on lottery credits and different things like that. So take a look on there if you haven't been on there lately. It's kind of gone through its blooming stage, essentially. I've also kind of started working on drafting different policies, an incoming deposit policy and a cash receiving policy. And I anticipate that in 2026, those will be done. Leanna had already started working on the finance policy. So I will kind of help her with the things that she would like me to input on that as well. And in 2026, my overall main goal is education. I want to be able to be cross-trained with the real property lister. She is her own department. She's a department of one, essentially. So I want to be able to make sure that, I'll move over here. I want to be able to make sure that just in case something happens, we work very closely together, that that department doesn't just stop. Because she does the property taxes, she does the splits, she does the property transfers, and we need to be able to make sure that that stuff continues to go smoothly throughout the county should something happen. And so Julie and I actually attended a splits training with the new software that we have, which I'll touch base here in a little bit. And so we're putting a training schedule together for my deputy, for her to get cross-trained on that as well, and to increase her education background so she's able to help taxpayers and kind of be able to triage those calls to certain departments or, to Julie or myself. So taxes, so in 2025 was kind of a really big year for the catalyst system for the 2024 tax roll. That was the first time that we've used this upgraded system for all the municipalities. So we had a lot of hiccups. We worked through them as anticipated. Despite all those, we got through settlement, we got through the sale book, tax certificates without any issues, which was really great. We've learned a lot, and we'll continue to learn more. We're working closer with the software company. They're putting together more trainings as well and updating their stuff, making it more advanced, and really kind of taking input from the users and upgrading that curriculum, which is really nice. Municipality relations was also a really big year with that. We had a really great connection and collaborative team going for municipalities within the county and myself. The real property lister and myself, we hosted 3 training sessions for the municipality clerks and the treasurers. Each of these training sessions is about 2 hours long. They average about 30 attendees and was well received. So we're going to continue to do that in 2026 and make that more into a round table where we can cover different topics that kind of pertain to them. They can learn from each other from peer to peer, which I saw was amazing that we can do that and they can rely on each other. And also be kind of be able to get the knowledge that really hadn't been written down before, which kind of goes into the section that to be able to support the municipalities better, what I did as an optional thing to them is I created 3 intensive detailed guides for them to be able to use with the software, with pet licensing, and also how to be able to get through tax season. So it's literally like a step-by-step guide on how to kind of do it, best practices, things like that. And so instead of, because we work different hours, instead of having them wait till the next day, they can go to these guides and be able to utilize those on real time versus waiting to kind of get my answer or get an answer from the DOR. So it makes their lives a lot easier. So those manuals will be updated from year to year to kind of be able to continue to find things that we are missing. Which is really nice, and I really want to be able to recognize Susie Howery. She went above and beyond to be able to guide me with her wisdom from the municipality standpoint of what would be needed with these guides. Again, she edited those, and like the teacher with her, she did a very good job. And so I just wanted to do a special recognition to her. She did an amazing job. She continues to help her peers, and so if you don't know Susie, just thank her for me. Sorry, my voice is dying. So looking forward, we're just going to kind of continue to build on those relationships with the municipalities because it is really crucial that we do have that connection with them. We couldn't do that without them. And so I feel like it's really a great way to be able to kind of work together instead of separate. The reminder notices for the taxes, we sent those out in March, June, and November, which is pretty normal. In the November cycle, what I did is a little bit differently, is I did a new format. So instead of mailing all the letters, we'd have to print out the reminder notices, fold those, stuff those, seal those, and then put postage on them. What I did is I did postcards through a third party, which actually cut our budget for at least $100 and staff time for living. So going forward, those will be the new format, will be postcards for reminders. Those are bright orange, like hunter orange. So if you see them, they will be different colors in March, June, and November. November, I guess hunting will be orange, I suppose. But anyway, so that actually really helps kind of get people to kind of look at them because nobody's going to really look at mail from treasurer's office because you probably don't have money. But if they can look at postcards, then they can say, oh, there's something weird. So they looked at it. We were able to get an increased amount of people paying the delinquent taxes, which is amazing. And to kind of get people understanding of the new process and things like that, which was amazing. Tax deeds. So the tax deeds kind of fell on the wayside. I sent in some stuff in late fall. So because we have a new attorney, that was waited until presently. So I did meet with attorney Russell and Trish on Monday to kind of get the ball rolling on that. Right now we have 89 properties that can be taken, 7 possibly contaminated that are usually written off. And then we have at least 1 tax deed that will be up for sale here shortly. Again, we're going to be working with attorney Russell to kind of get that moving and going. And my goal in 2026 is to get all this wrapped up. Because honestly, 89 properties from 2012 is kind of, it's a few millions of dollars sitting out there that we need to get back. We also need to get properties back on the tax roll. So that'll be another thing I'm going to be doing as well. And then going to conferences and seminars for remediation and looking at exploring state and federal grants for this. We do have to have that option of claiming contaminated parcels. Unclaimed funds was kind of another thing that we've kind of always done. However, it wasn't actually organized or modified. There was no tracking that could be looked at. They were paper copies. So all of that was digitized into a tracker. So we're able to actually find everything in 2026, but we're gonna be able to do and publish that list on our website so people can actually see what's unclaimed. If they have the unclaimed funds, they can go to the website and do that. I'm in the process of doing that. I also have to be able to draft a form for the taxpayer to come in and actually claim that. So those are the couple of things that I have to be able to work on in 2006 to get that going. So the amount that was actually released, after 10 years of holding it in the county treasurer's possession after it comes to me, it gets released back into the general fund. So the amount that was fully released after 10 years in 2025 was $5,218.53. The total funds that are actually fully released since 2015 was $6,006.82. So the unclaimed funds list is actually, the amounts are getting a lot bigger. But that money needs to go back out to the taxpayers that may or may not know that. It's published every 2 years, or so it's published in the odd year. But they may not have the newspaper, so if we can put it on the website, that would be extremely beneficial. Because right now, the funds that can be claimed is $5,418.40, which is 132 people. So, and again, just making it more aware for people to be able to kind of claim those and get that process put in place. The lottery and gaming credit program was overhauled for an internal audit, which I don't know if has ever been done. So we did an internal audit where we went through every single parcel, and we actually also audited the tax parcel software at the same time to be able to make sure that the people were using the program accordingly, removing people that were misusing it, and just updating our records. We were sending out, we always send out annual letters to people that have potential, that could potentially qualify. So we have continued to do that, and we will continue to do that. In 2026, what we'll do instead of actual mailing letters is to be able to do postcards. Dane County does something very similar. It's cost effective, saves less staff time, and it pretty much does the same thing. So we'll continue to do that. Investments. This is pretty standard. Nothing's really changed with the investments. We have investments that are held into PTA, and then LGIP, which is local government investment pool. We have an investment ladder that is January, May, August, November each year. The fixed rate for those ladders is about 4.3%. And we also have one we have like a 2-year investment that's going to be maturing here in November of next year for about $1 million at 4.2. The investment rates are declining. I believe when I started, it was about 5. So we're at about like 3 something now, about 3.5, 3.7, which is pretty standard. PTA manages about $5 million, about $5.5 million, and then at 5.1 in liquid. Some of that 5.1 is for liquid, actually is part of the Pine Valley collateral as well. If I said that correctly. And then our goal is to just be able to make sure that we can have the highest potential for investments going forward, working closely with the administration and to be able to utilize either the 1-year ladder like we did, or break it up to 3 months or 6 months to be able to get a good interest rate and to be able to get payouts better. So that's kind of what we're going to be looking for in 2026. Again, I apologize, this was my last section. It won't be this long, I promise you. So Tyler, so everyone did implementation. I'm doing cashiering and bank rec. Bank rec has kind of had some slumps. We've had some difficulties with the implementation and the data conversion. Right now, what we're trying to do is still reconcile since February of last year. We're working closely with the implementation team. I think I work with them like every single week trying to get it down. Trying to get things situated. My goal is to be able to get that done before audit is due in April. And then just be able to make sure that we can do monthly outstanding checks and get outstanding checks situated. So when you come see me, when I come see you in May, I don't have like $6,000 in sale checks. So that's my goal for bank reconciliation and cashiering. In mid-December, I switched over to cashiering and Tyler myself. What I've kind of run into is a lot of things weren't built out for cashiering. So now I'm having to build it out as I go. So it's taking me a little bit longer, but in the long run, it'll all be set up for departments, once they get in there, it's just gonna take a while to kind of build those. So hopefully, we can kind of get that situated. I anticipate that. I'm hoping for April, but I don't know.
Probably Q2.
Yeah, we'll see. It's a lot of bills, about 66 rows and one report, so, yeah. I've been busy.
Questions for Ashley, anyone? Lots of changes. Thank you. All right, hearing none, let's move on to item 8, discussion and possible action on updates to the Richland County Employee Handbook.
So last month, I brought to you the handbook with all the markups, the corrections. I shared all the proposed changes in a one-page document. So we put a clean copy in there, looking for your approval of that. A couple of things that we added is per John Anderson, we added on the signature page, language about overtime paid via comp unless there was another different agreement. We also removed the verbiage that guaranteed that veterans could have Veterans Day off. That would present some staffing issues if we did allow that. And so we had to take that out of there because then we might not have staff available to cover shifts as needed. And then just adding that in a rule of conduct, one of the concerns that we would have would be taking time off without pay, and that could be grounds for discipline.
Questions on any, sounds like we've seen this a few times.
Yes.
All needed changes, updates. If not, I would entertain a motion so we can move it on to full county board. Supervisor Schoonover makes the motion, seconded by Supervisor Kramer. Any other discussion on the handbook changes? If not, all those in favor of moving on to full county board, the handbook changes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Moving on to full county board. Item 9, discussion and possible action on approval of the quote for ambulance service study. Item 9.
So late fall, early winter, the county board felt it would be beneficial to have a ambulance study completed to really give us some guidance. So to have an outside entity come in, review what we have set up and make some recommendations. Clerk Kalish and I met with 3 different entities. We met with Strategic Management and Consultation. We met with Innovative Public Advisors, and we also met with Wisconsin Policy Forum and talked with them about what the study would look like, how long it would take, what we were looking for out of the study. And our recommendation is that we go with Strategic Management and Consultation to have this have this study completed. Part of the reason we looked at them is they are fairly local. They're out of the Dells area. They are able to get this study done more timely than some of the other entities. They thought they could have recommendations to us in March. And part of that advantage is if there is the determination through the study that another entity take over the service, we could apply for an innovation grant because those grants have to be applied for by the end of March. What the innovation grant is, the purpose of them were to set up if you have a public entity doing a service and you have somebody else take it over and it's no longer on the responsibility of the county government, of any government, then there is some funds that can be given to the county to help with that transition. So my recommendation is that we go with Strategic Management and Consulting for this study. There's also second part to this. We didn't budget any money for this. And so we would have to take money out of the contingency funds to pay for it. It's $35,000 is what it would be. And so that would need board action to approve utilizing those funds.
Let's get it, if you're willing to, somebody to make a motion. Mr. Cooey, you're going to make a motion so we can get it on the board to discuss. Seconded by Supervisor Turk. We have it on the floor for discussion. Anyone, Mr. Supervisor Stephen, comments? No, you're good.
I guess I'd like to know, have you told that company to focus more on having county government not operate the ambulance, and is that what he's gonna do his study based off of?
When we met with them, they said they would do the study. Many of them, I shouldn't say many, there were a couple that said sometimes your best option is to go with a third-party vendor, only because that is what they do. That's their specialty, that's their that's their, what they do every day. They have the knowledge, the depth, the experience, the support to be sustainable long-term. We did not ask him to make that recommendation. We just said, here are the options that are out there. We gave the option of a district, we gave the option of county continuing to run, and we gave the option of third party.
Was there did you get a consensus from your first meeting at all of any consensus on what they thought, the ones that showed up for the first meeting you had with the municipalities?
Oh, with the municipalities? No,
Okay.
no, I would not say there was a consensus. I think there was some discussions about a district, but I think that the discussions, and Randy, you can jump in here if I'm wrong on this, were really who's gonna run it, how's it going to look? So I think that brought more
I guess we
questions.
just didn't have enough attendance really
Yeah.
to go much further than that. But I think the district idea was floated around quite a bit too.
Supervisor Frank.
So, in looking at the information here, it says countywide, so we're looking at the entire county, we're looking at, the Viola services, we're looking at everything.
It sounds like they will look into that, but if those entities say we want to continue to be independent, they're going to respect that and they're going to take that into consideration. But if some of them say, yeah, we really need more support, we're not going to be able to be here in the next 5 years, they'll take a look at all of it.
Yeah, because I think that picture is important to make sure that we're covering all those, we're covering the Lone Rocks, we're covering the UVAs, we're covering all of them to see what the county picture is, not just, one section or one piece of it. I think that would be critical.
And my biggest thing with these three options, I would not recommend going with Wisconsin Policy Forum, because in the end, they said, we won't give you a recommendation. We'll lay out options, but we won't give you a recommendation. We know what the options are. We want somebody to come in and give us a recommendation.
Are these guys gonna do a financial cost of what it would be like if we did tax for a county, or what it would be like for a district? How they would get their funding?
I think they have said that they could give, and Derek, you can jump in here too. I think they can give information in the future about funding options, but I don't believe they'll give a recommendation on which way we should go, that the service should be funded, but they could give suggestions.
I think that's fair to say.
I think it's kind of a little short time that they're doing this, and most of these studies are always a lot longer. I think we're rushing this.
And then we could go with the other option. I mean, if you would want to, we do have the Innovative Public Advisors. I met with them. There wasn't anything that they said or did that was concerning to us. They're the ones doing the Simon study right now. If you feel we shouldn't be rushing this, that we should be taking our time and not worry about that innovation grant, then that's your decision. But I didn't have any objections to Innovative Public Advisors, just the time.
What kind of money is the innovation grant? What are the opportunities of that? I guess I haven't seen how that works.
And depending on how it's worded, and there's no guarantee, so this is pretty new, it's a quarter of what you spend on that program.
Just a one time.
5 years. If it's done by March 31st, it's for 5 years. As long as you are continuing to have a cost savings from that service.
How do they measure that, Ellen?
So like right now, our ambulance budget's about $1 million. If we have $1 million budget next year, then we don't get it. Give or take.
Easy enough. Mr. Carroll, any questions?
No, not at this time.
I just don't think that we should rush this. I am not opposed, I guess, to having the study done with strategic management, but I think the time frame to do due diligence needs to be done, and I think it needs to be a little bit longer. I think we're rushing this because I have a feeling that people here don't want anything to do with the ambulance service anymore and want to wash their hands. And I think that goes with a lot of things here in the county that are non-mandated services that we're wanting to get rid of. And we gotta know what the impact is that's gonna protect our citizens that we represent. So I like to see study done with a little bit longer. And we did try to go with these back in like 2022. I don't know if Chairman Turk remembers that. He voted no to want to have this company when it was like $25,000 to study.
Price,
I told you the paperwork, you've seen it.
the price difference, is there any price difference in their bids?
I think strategic management was about 37, so it was a little bit more expensive, but not a large amount.
Strategic management's 35. The other one was.
Yeah, innovation, I think, was 37.
Committee, thoughts?
Is the innovative,
35,
they're both 35.
35,750. So they're right about the exact same price.
So the innovation grant, would that be available in 27?
What they said is it depends on if there's any funds left over. So they have funds to allocate. It really depends on how many applications are received and approved.
Typical grant process.
Yeah. No guarantee we'd get it.
This time.
Yeah.
There is really no guarantee. I think we should just take our time with this.
The only thing I'm gonna say, and I disagree with that because of me speaking from my township side of it, we gotta have this figured out, because if we gotta make big budget changes for next year, I don't wanna wait until November and say, okay, well, now we're not gonna do this, or now we're not gonna do that. I disagree. I think we should go forward with this and get it rolling. It may take longer than what it's projected anyways, but don't kick it down the road so that I have to wait until the end of the year to figure this out.
Yeah, I appreciate his thoughts on that, but, this ambulance service has been running since 1972 in the county that has ran that. I don't foresee it, even if it take a little bit longer, that we could still have the funding to operate the ambulance service.
Well, it sounds like we have a contracted funding this year to do that, but we need to make sure that we're well planned ahead of time for next year.
27. 27.
Yeah, 27.
September will be here before you know it.
Oh, just. Would be a good rate. Hopefully. Yeah.
Rest of the group, thoughts, comments? Otherwise, we'll just go for a vote. Got a motion in a second.
I kind of like this group. I think if we see something, I kind of like the strategic management and consulting, again, out of Wisconsin Dells. If we see something that we want more information on, we can ask them to pursue that more. And if that takes a little longer, so it takes a little longer. I guess that's my two takes on it.
And we can tell them, we don't have the deadline of the March 31st. We want to get it going. We want a thorough study done. You don't need to rush it. Let's just make sure we get that thorough study done.
And yeah, and that doesn't mean they can't do it by the end of March anyway and do a thorough job,
Right,
you know?
right. It gives the opportunity, it gives us really opportunity to ask questions and dig in deeper if we have to.
And there's a lot of studies out there right now, and you've seen some of them too, Trish, probably. For county and municipal services, for ambulance, that they have different studies out there. So I think this is just trying to be more tailored to get us out of the business. That's what I think.
I guess I feel it's tailored to give us a basis to make a better decision on what we're doing. We can do.
Yeah, even at the end doesn't mean that we even have to go with the recommendation. It's gonna be a recommendation.
It is, it's information and.
Yep. Right now, we don't really have a clue. We know we wanna provide ambulance service, that's what we know.
We have ideas.
Yep. Enough discussion? We'll call for a vote. Do you wanna do a roll call, or you're okay with a voice vote? Okay, all those in favor of going with the name of the new one, this one?
Management and consulting.
The one that's listed that we have the motion on? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Thank you. Very good discussion. Waiting for good information.
This was not coming forth then.
Yep. Because, yeah, we have no budgeted money for it, so.
Make sure there's another opportunity for discussion.
Okay. All right. Item 10, we're moving into closed session. I'll entertain a motion to enter closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.851E for deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public property, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business. Whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, proposed subdivision on former UW campus property is the first item of closed session. Supervisor Manning, seconded by Supervisor Kramer.
Hold on, wait, hold
Yeah.
on, wait.
you have to say the motion.
Oh, we do.
Somebody has to say the motion.
I make the motion.
Two. Go to.
And we'll also, including in the closed session, will be the second one.
Yes.
Which is the, what are we doing on that one?
It's number 11.
Yeah,
County position on the vision pro.
okay, yes. County position on petition for elections. So, Mr. Manning made the motion, seconded by, who do you have, Kramer?
Hey,
Yeah.
so, just a point of clarification. Follow the state statute. We should go into, if you make a motion to go into closed session, you then have to come out of closed session, then you can make a motion to go back into closed session. You shouldn't cover both topics.
Okay.
In one closed session, because it blurs the lines of what is able to be discussed.
Okay.
So,
Good idea.
if anybody has the agenda, they can, and they want to make the motion for number 10, they can basically reiterate it, but you have to verbally make the motion.
Oh, okay, okay.
I'll make a
Okay,
motion.
okay, perfect.
I think he wants more.
So,
Okay, that's what I was looking for.
I move to go into closed session pursuant to statute 1985(1)(e), deliberating and negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive bargaining reasons require a closed session. That's my motion.
Thank you, Supervisor Severson. We'll second it by Supervisor Frank.
Need to include the reason there too.
It's best if you do.
Read the reason to Mr. Severson.
Proposed subdivision on UW campus property, on former UW campus property.
All right, we'll get her straightened out. Good thing we've got our new corporate counsel. And you've got the right second now. And those allowed, Wayne, you can stay if you'd like. And our new corporate counsel and our county administrator and our clerk. And everybody else that's in here. So, Wayne, other than him. So, all those in favor of going into closed session signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? And we are now going to be in closed session after a short recess.
I got a question, Steve.
Oh yeah, what about him?
No, that was our rules last year. Nobody in closed session on. Because I said, how do you know who's in there with them? But now I'm on the Southwest Tech Board and we do a roll call vote, go into closed session.
What?
We can go.
I will. I mean, we do on Southwest Tech, we do a roll call vote to go into closed session. If you need to go to the restroom, take a break for a second. Well, let's finish up. Are we doing action on? We don't have to do anything on 11, right? What about 10? No, we're good. Okay. So correspondence? None. Future agenda items, we're looking at February 2nd. Probably not a second meeting in January unless February 10th, Chairman Turk, Administrator Clements and I will be in Madison for the annual something.
WCA legislative conference.
Yes, the governor comes. But February 2nd, 5 p.m.
Probably be gubernatorial candidates too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
February. I had a date to set.
Is that right?
We start at 4? Start our meeting at 4, because I know Sandy's meeting's fixed.
Yeah, we could do that.
4, does that work for everybody?
What day?
February 2nd,
4 p.m.
4 p.m. All right. Mr. Manning, you got a couple more months to finish. Motion to
I'm not
adjourn.
gonna read it.
Second.
Seconded by Schoonover. All those in favor of adjourning till February 2nd at 4 p.m. signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you.